Hello, welcome to Real Talk. I am your host, Paul Britton. We are here to discuss movies. That's right, we got movie reviews. Going to talk about Joker, Folie. We're going to talk about Megalopolis, Francis Ford Coppola's mega movie, and then we're going to talk about the latest DreamWorks animated feature, The Wild Robot, which just gonna throw it out there. Of the three, spoiler alert, it's the one you really need to go see in the theater. That's all there is to it. I mean, if you're like, all right, I'm only gonna pick one of these three movies, it's Wild Robot. But we'll get there. I've got a lot to say about everything. So, Joker Folie Adieu. And here's the thing. Okay, so Joker Folie Adieu. We know what Joker is. We know what we saw the first Joker movie. Even if you didn't see the first Joker movie, you know who the Joker is. You're semi-aware or fully aware of the Joker character from DC Comics, okay? And if you're aware of anything that Francis Ford Coppola has ever made, including or not limited to Godfather 1, Godfather 2, The Conversation, Apocalypse Now, those being probably the four biggies. You're familiar with what he does and Megalopolis, and I'm here to tell you that these two movies, one released last week, Megalopolis, and the other, Joker Folie Adieu, released this week. They have a lot in common, unexpectedly. Like if you had said, "Hey, Paul, you're going to be doing a podcast, and you're going to be talking about how Joker Folie Adieu and Megalopolis are related," I'd have been like, "You're crazy." But guess what? It's going to come up. So let's just look at Joker Folie Adieu first. The original Joker movie, I really appreciated what it was doing. I really appreciated what it went for. I didn't like all the decisions. Ultimately, the fact that they took a character and built up sympathies around the character and then made the character really bad. That's a tough thing to do. And that's that's something that normally in a movie I'm like, ooh, I don't know if we really want to go there. And that's different than, kind of playing with the character and are they good or bad, or this character takes a heel turn. That's not what Joker is. Arthur Fleck in the first movie, through the first act and most of the second act, is 100% a sympathetic character, and but where it's going throughout, so you're hesitant to start allowing those sympathies to play with your emotions. But it happens, and then when he does, when he breaks bad, the fall, it in your estimation of the character is and then to have people like, oh, he's not only people in the movie but also people in real life, like, can still consider him a sympathetic character even after he does terrible things. It's no. Like, you go bad, and it's he's not an anti-hero. He is a bad guy. He is a bad guy, and that's the trap that this movie finds itself in up front. This movie finds itself up front in a situation where well more than half of the audience doesn't like this guy going in, because we know what he did at the start, or at the end of the last movie. And so he's in jail for a reason. He definitely did these bad things. And so he's no longer that sympathetic aspects of the character, while physically still present, emotionally aren't there anymore. Okay. So, uh, where is this movie going to go? And you're half expecting that, or maybe fully expecting that it's going to kind of establish how he takes the anti-hero mantelpiece and runs with it and builds up, a crime syndicate, is in essence, a vigilante crime syndicate. And that's kind of your expectation, where, and he brings in Harley Quinn, played by played amazingly by Lady Gaga, uh, you know, as sort of like his second hand and his love interest. And it's, you know Harley Quinn, if you know anything about her, also morally questionable, and you're you're introduced to the character, and there is absolutely no question from Jump Street. This is Harley Quinn in a morally questionable position, right up front. This isn't, a situation where the Joker, in Harley Quinn's DC Comics backstory, it's, she is a psychotherapist or a psychologist, treating the Joker in Arkham, but she falls under his spell. She's just ready to be under his spell. Like that backstory is slightly massaged. She just falls right under his spell, and it isn't necessarily an Arkham for helpful or good reasons. And so you're stuck without somebody to cheer for in this movie. And it's really, it's really difficult to have a movie like that and be like, oh, this is a good movie, this is what I want to see again. You can do it. It's difficult, but this movie doesn't even try to do that. This movie, like, flat out doesn't care if you like it. This movie actually genuinely does not want you to sit down and watch this again. It just wants you to have this experience, understand what this experience is, and just deal with it, deal with the emotional repercussions of it. I've spoken quite a bit at length about Lars von Trier movies before on this podcast, always in the what the hell did I just watch section, because his movies are amazing movies that are just almost unwatchable. Like everything going on is terrible. Like not terrible in the sense of, oh, this is bad, what the hell is this, but in the sense of what's going on with these characters is just it's reprehensible. These characters are reprehensible. What the situations they're in are terrible. This is not something that I want to watch, but it's expertly done. This is a Lars von Trier movie that is not being made by Lars von Trier, meaning what Lars von Trier is able to do in making a movie that you don't necessarily want to watch again, making it but making it well worth the time spent. There's This movie just never fully commits. It just never fully commits to developing any characters beyond where they are, to understanding where the characters are, the path that they're on, and letting them reach a logical destination on those things. So the conceit of the movie is that Arthur Fleck, aka the Joker, is going to be going to trial. And so this is really a trial movie, like it's a courtroom movie. It's a courtroom drama in essence. And at first he has a lawyer who's trying to sort of build on the sympathies that you had for Arthur Fleck in the first act and a half, first two acts of the first movie. And then the Joker said, oh, no, I'm taking over this. This is not how these crimes happen. This is not who I am. And, while being egged on by Harley Quinn to, yes, You are the Joker, be the Joker. You are not Arthur Fleck. Don't be Arthur Fleck. And when he takes over his council, this movie just loses, its way. And that's to say nothing about the musical numbers, which I'm okay with, but they never use them to full effect, I would say, except for there are a couple that there is one that they use there's a musical called That's Entertainment, and there's a song, you're a da, 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 da. That's entertainment, and that comes up a lot throughout the movie. And there's a scene where Harley and the Joker escape from Arkham. They know they're not getting away. They're just they use Harley's creation of chaos to get out of the building, but they're not getting out of Arkham. Like there's it's just not going to happen. And during that scene, the That's Entertainment song it's perfect. It's perfect, and it's a really great scene. It's one of the great scenes. Another perfect scene in this movie is when Joker's taken over his council. The prosecution has called the witness to one of the Joker, Arthur, or the Joker's murders, a small person who was equally sympathetic to Arthur, constantly being ridiculed at his job, but Arthur treats well and treats Arthur well. Like they are, for lack of a better term, friends. And his name is Puddles. Like his last name is actually Puddles. And he upon cross-examination, the Joker is trying to kind of make light of everything that the guy witnessed, and he's like, you don't understand, Arthur. I can't sleep. I can't leave my house. He's like, but I didn't hurt you. He's like, that doesn't matter. Like what you did has scarred me. And Arthur and the Joker is forced to face his humanity, and that's the problem in the movie is that, okay, but why? Like, why now? Why here? Like, and to what end? What are we doing? What are we going for? Like, are we trying to settle in on, what, actually, okay, the Joker is, Arthur Fleck is totally a sympathetic character, and we should not have turned him into the Joker, and he really was put in a bad place, and it just feels disingenuous to everything else that this movie and the first movie was setting up. And in the end, you just wish the movie had committed to being like, look, you're not going to like anybody, and that's just all there is to it. The Puddles courtroom scene is so effective and so good, but it just also, because of the genuineness of the emotions behind Puddles, the emptiness of everything else going on is so glaring, and it just meanders to the end, until at the very end we're left with a situation where okay, it's over, and it's like, okay, but what are we saying? Like, not only just like thematically, what are we saying, but also are we saying that the mantle of the Joker is malleable? And there's just a lot of questions where there shouldn't be questions. It's like, if you're going to end it and have a reasonable a reasonably clear understanding of what does this lead to, and we don't get that. We don't get that. And I genuinely respect what this movie is trying to do. I understand what it's trying to do. I don't think that it's a mess. I don't think that it's not worth your time, because it absolutely is 100% worth your time to go see. I just ultimately don't think it's super successful because it never commits. If you're making a movie that is a great movie that nobody ever wants to see again, you have to commit to making a great movie that nobody wants to see again. And ultimately, this is it's well made, but it is not a great movie. And I don't know that I ever really want to see it again. So that's sorry. Here at Real to Real Talk, we do tacos instead of stars. And if we want to give it a little extra, i.e., instead of a half a star, we add guacamole. Why? Because nobody eats half a fucking taco. So I'm giving this 2 tacos plus guac. This is my 100% standard. I didn't hate it. I'm not mad at it. I am glad I went and saw it, but I really don't want to see this movie again. But this is not a situation where it's like, if somebody turns it on, I genuinely just don't want to see this movie. Like it's upsetting. There's just way too much upsetting aspects of this movie that would make me want to see it. If you're gonna do that, just man, just be better. Be better, which leads us, unironically, to Megalopolis, the latest movie from Francis Ford Coppola. Now, how is Megalopolis and Joker similar? The similarities are that these are movies that I was super duper excited about, that have a lot going for them, but they never actually commit to a coherent, meaningful trajectory. Megalopolis is the story of Adam Driver plays a guy named Caesar. I don't even remember his last name. It doesn't really matter. This is an allegory for Rome through the United States. Like it's an allegory for ancient Rome through the guise of current day United States. And Adam Driver plays a guy named Caesar, who is an architect who has been who is tasked with rebuilding New Rome, New York City, and and taking it out of a sort of depression type of situation where the people are bad off. Basically, a situation where the rich are super rich and everybody else is having a rough time. And his main nemesis is played by Giancarlo Esposito, Mayor Cicero. Oh, okay. Cicero's daughter, Julia Cicero, plays an interesting love interest, I guess. And I'm using the word interesting loosely. But this movie also has Aubrey Plaza in it, who plays a sort of I'm going to just say she's essentially like a Kardashian girl if the Kardashians actually got into covering the stock market. And her name is Wow Platinum. And God bless Aubrey Plaza. So this movie is so transparent in what it's trying to communicate. Okay. Much the same way that Joker is super transparent in being like, look, there's no there is no joy here. Megalopolis, exact opposite. We are going for joy to the point that it's almost naive to think that the level of goodness that the Caesar character has actually exists in the world. It's like, yes, it would be awesome if somebody with that kind of power and that kind of intelligence was actually given a chance to be that good. We see it every day that that's just not how those figures usually pan out. Okay. And unfortunately, and because of that, it just throughout, it just feels, what are we seriously like 10 years old and don't understand how the greater world actually works? Shia LaBeouf plays so ridiculous. Shia LaBeouf plays Adam Driver's cousin, Claudio, who is the son of Adam Driver's uncle, played by John Voight, uh, Crassus, a bank, a bank president, and Claudio wants to be in charge of the bank, but Crassus doesn't think he's serious enough to do it, and gives deference to his nephew, uh, Caesar, and so Claudio accidentally puts in motion a plot to have Caesar killed, but it it's so obvious the entire time. Like, it's just, and I'm not even going to throw spoiler alert up, because everything that happens is like, oh yeah, of course that's what's, oh yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, of course that's where this is going. All right, yeah, that's where this is going. This movie is so paper thin, and it has the belief that it is complex and multi-layered, and it just isn't. It just is not. And I just really wanted more. It's not even a beautiful movie. Like, it's ultimately a hollow movie with Aubrey Plaza in it. And that's Aubrey Plaza is so good. I like Aubrey Plaza no matter what she's doing. Like, that shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. But ultimately, Megalopolis, just like Joker, never commits to being interesting or important. It just it's so black and white. It's so paper thin, and it just it in the end it just rings super hollow. And so you get to the end and it's just like, oh, that was a lot to sit through to get to a point where we're exactly where we knew we were going to land. And again, I didn't hate it. Like, there's a lot of hate for this movie, but I definitely didn't like it. This gets two tacos. There is nothing to give guac to this. This is a two taco movie through and through, and I cannot just be like, here, Aubrey Plaza gets guac. I can't do it. As much as I love Aubrey Plaza, I'm not going to get there. The movie I want to talk about, the Wild Robot. God damn it. The DreamWorks went and made just an immaculate movie. Bless them. They did it. Bravo. I don't understand how this movie's not going to make $500 million. I wish it would. Please go see this movie. It's a story of a robot, of a service robot, not a war machine or anything, but like literally like put ourselves 100 years into the future, service robots that are there literally to make your life easy, mow the lawn, tidy the house, cook meals, all those sorts of things. That a service robot whose freighter gets, who gets lost on delivery. We'll just say that. You don't find out until later. You find out exactly what happened, but you don't find out until much later in the movie. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Obviously, it's a service robot gets lost in the woods. Okay. You find out that it's on an island, and it has to learn to communicate with the residents of the island, who are all wild animals. And in learning to communicate with the residents of the movie of the island, it gains a purpose. It gets a task, and the task that it takes on is raising this goose, whose baby, a gosling, whose parents the robot accidentally kills. Okay. It's a pure accident. It's a really sad part of the movie. It's super, super sad. But so the wild robot takes on this task of raising this gosling, and it's just genuine. It is everything that Joker and Megalopolis wasn't. It's genuine, it's earnest, it's heartfelt. It has a clear message that it wants to make, that is a real message, that isn't paper thin, but layered and complex, and not always clean, not always pretty, not always easy. And and it isn't at all obvious where it's going. I mean, look, it's an animated movie. You kind of know where it's going, but the way you care about the journey because you care about all the characters. What I tell you with Wild Robot is everything that Joker and Megalopolis is. I mean, it's just such a great movie. I cried twice. Once at the start of Act 3, and then again at the end. And the cry that I had at the start of Act 3, I was literally bawling. I was a mess. I was just an absolute puddle of messiness. It's so good. I cannot possibly recommend this movie enough. This is just such a 5 taco movie. I'm not giving a guac. It it's a it just doesn't quite get to the guac, but it is absolutely a 5 taco movie. And please, please, please go see Wild Robot in the theaters. Wild Robot needs to be seen by everybody. And if you're like, oh, I can wait for streamers, don't wait for streamers. Let people know these are the kind of things that we need, because these are the kind of things we need. You know, that's what I got for you today. I hope you go see Wild Robot, and I also hope you go see Joker, Folie, Deux, and Megalopolis, because they're in theaters and they deserve your support. But ultimately, Wild Robot's the one that you absolutely positively must see. I will be back here next week because that's what I do. And next week we are going to be reviewing at least one movie. I looked before I started what the movie was. Now I can't even remember the damn movie. I'm sorry. That's right. Saturday night. I believe Saturday night will be coming to locally here. It's the movie about the first night of Saturday Night Live. I'm really excited about this movie. I also might check out some streamers. There's a lot of streamers that have come out lately. I'm gonna have to just start like sprinkling them in. I have catch up to do. I've got work. I've got homework. I'm gonna do it. But Saturday night, we're gonna do. Thank you so much for coming by. I'm Paul Britton. This is Real to Real Talk. I hope we get to see you next week.